Ballot item number 93, Order M293, second reading of Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario. Mr. Rakocevic.
I recognize a member from Humber River, Black Creek.
Thank you, Speaker. I move second reading of Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario.
I will now turn it over to the member from Humber River, Black Creek, to begin debate.
Thank you, Speaker. We live in an era of technological wonder, but for the most part, we take it for granted. Flip a switch and voila, a dark room is illuminated and we can see. But technology that has now become mundane was once considered a miraculous wonder. We live in a world of what was once science fiction, dreamed into reality by countless people of science, engineering, and medicine. But do we ever take the time to truly see and recognize those brilliant minds that made this possible? Today, in some small way, I hope to change this as I table the second reading of a bill to recognize and honor the life of a man who changed the world, a prolific inventor of 300 worldwide patents to his name, who developed the three-phase system of electric power transmission that ushered in a new era for humanity. The advent of this alternating current system in hydropower is also linked to the history of Ontario itself. In fact, our very own Sir Adam Beck was knighted for his promotion of publicly owned electricity grids and development of transmission lines. Schools were named after him, power stations and more. But what of the scientists who made this all possible? In the words of retired chemistry professor Dr. Maida Georgievich, that man, often overlooked, is responsible for 80% of everything powered by electricity that we use in our daily life, making it not just easier and more comfortable, but entirely possible altogether." End quote. He arrived as a poor immigrant to America in 1884, and after all that he created, he died penniless and all but forgotten in his own time. But you've all heard his name by now, Nikola Tesla. You've heard of the car, but have you heard of him? To tell the story of Nikola Tesla's life and achievement in such a short time, I admit, is an impossible task and much better suited for Tesla's friend and contemporary Mark Twain. So I can only offer you a very abbreviated sample of his early life, details on the advent of the polyphase alternating current system, only one of many life-changing technologies he patented, and touch on its subsequent introduction here in Ontario. It is my hope to whet your appetite to learn more about this remarkable scientist and engineer whose technologies changed the world. And it is my hope today that you will join me and vote to proclaim that every July 10th, his birthday, as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario, as it is celebrated elsewhere. Let me begin. At the stroke of midnight on July 10th, 1856, and ironically in the midst of a great thunderstorm, Nikola Tesla was born, an ethnic Serb in the town of Smiljan in the former Austro-Hungarian Empire, now present-day Croatia. His father, Milutin, was a well-respected and educated Serbian Orthodox priest. His mother, Juka, although not formally educated, was very technically talented. Tesla attributed his initial interest in innovation to her and said she was an inventor of the first order, I believe, and would have, I believe, achieved great things had she not been so remote from modern life and its multifold opportunities. This reflection may have instilled his future desire for innovation to improve the lives of everyone. As a child and young student, Tesla had an eidetic memory, was a voracious reader, and was gifted in mathematics. When the young Tesla was shown a steel engraving of Niagara Falls by his uncle, he envisioned it turning a great water wheel, and he ambitiously declared he would travel to America to one day harness its energy, a feat he would accomplish 30 years later. Although his father hoped his son would enter the priesthood, Tesla dreamed of becoming an engineer, and after a near-death experience after contracting cholera at age 17, he enrolled in the Austrian Polytechnic School in Graz. A brilliant and inexhaustible student, Tesla barely slept and spent most of his time in the library, reading and studying languages of which he fluently spoke 8. He regularly debated his professors and believed that a motor could be more efficiently powered through alternating current as opposed to direct current, which was the staple of the times. In 1892, Tesla, now living in Budapest, was out for a walk with a friend when the vision for the concept of the induction motor came to him. Tesla described the moment as, "The idea came to me like a flash of lightning, and in an instant the truth was revealed. I drew with a stick on the sand the diagram shown 6 years later in my address before the American Institute of Electrical Engineers." End quote. It was said at the time that Tesla was able to envision all his inventions three-dimensionally in his mind and down to the finest detail. He could construct a flawlessly working model upon its first attempt. Soon after, Tesla moved to France and worked for Edison's Continental Company in Strasbourg, where he was hired to improve their DC generation facilities. In 1883, he constructed his first polyphase AC induction motor, but was unable to gain interest from European investors. Tesla believed that he would have better opportunities elsewhere. Next year, being highly recommended to Thomas Edison, a 28-year-old Tesla sailed to America to meet and ultimately briefly work for the renowned inventor and businessman. And so in 1884, Tesla arrived in New York by boat with the clothing on his back, 4 cents, and a letter of reference. After they met, Edison promised this brilliant but penniless Eastern European immigrant that he would pay him $50,000 if he could make improvements to his DC system. Tesla tried to convince Edison that AC was the future, but Edison was unmoved. So Tesla agreed to help improve Edison's DC system, working at the Edison Machine Works for as much as 19 hours a day until he presented a solution. But when the time came to be paid, Edison refused and claimed the offer was unjust, saying, "When you become a full-fledged American, you will appreciate an American joke." Justifiably outraged, Tesla quit and worked at digging ditches for $2 a day to make ends meet while looking for backers to invest in his plans for alternating current. Although not interested in AC, a group of investors sought Tesla's assistance in an improved method of arc lighting. Once again, Tesla, a poor immigrant, would be taken advantage of. After inventing a new and efficient arc lamp, all of the money went to the investors, and Tesla was left with a worthless stock certificates. Finally, Tesla was able to secure an investor interested in his AC motor. With money from A.K. Brown of the Western Union Company, Tesla established a small laboratory and quickly developed right then and there the entire components that are still used in AC power generation and transmission today. He then filed for and obtained the associated patents for the complete system of power transmission, including motors, generators, transformers, transmission lines, and lighting. But it wasn't until the wealthy entrepreneur and engineer George Westinghouse approached Tesla that the war for the future between DC and AC would begin. Convinced that Tesla's inventions would indeed be the future for long-distance power transmission, Westinghouse purchased Tesla's patents for $60,000, including cash shares and more. And in classic Tesla fashion, he poured most of his money into his laboratory to pursue further innovations. Unwilling to go down without a fight, Edison teamed up with a professor named Harold Brown, who began an intense propaganda campaign to proclaim the dangers of alternating current. Together, they set up inhumane and horrific demonstrations by electrocuting old horses, dogs, an elephant, and even a convicted murderer through a modified AC generator. In the end, Edison received his comeuppance in his treatment of Tesla when the Westinghouse Corporation won the bid to illuminate the Chicago's World's Fair through the use of AC power over DC. And so on May 1st, 1893, U.S. President Grover Cleveland flipped a switch and illuminated over 100,000 incandescent bulbs that would dazzle the fair's 27 million visitors. And from that day forward, there was no looking back. Ontarians were amongst the earliest benefactors of AC technology in the world. In the late 1800s, steam was used widely here to generate power, but was very limited in the distance this power could be transmitted. So in 1894, a group of 5 Hamilton businessmen, later known as the 5 Johns, led by John Patterson, visited the Dean Adams Power Plant in Niagara Falls, New York, with the hopes of bringing AC power to Hamilton. Patterson had plans to develop an electric railway system that was interested in gaining access to cheap and efficient new hydroelectric power. But the Americans refused to sell hydropower to Canada, even at double the rates, and the water rights at Niagara Falls were already sold off, leaving Patterson's plans literally dead in the water. Undeterred, Patterson reached out to Tesla in 1896 with details on a plan to construct the Dessau Falls Power Generating Station just south of St. Catharines with the intent to transmit power over 40 kilometers to Hamilton. Tesla personally reviewed and approved of the plans, and only 2 years later, on November 12, 1898, the station was opened. The transmission of power from the Dessau Falls Station to Hamilton became the second largest transmission line of its time, with the media excitedly proclaiming that the event would go down in the electrical annals of Canada as a red-letter day. And with that, Hamilton became the first major city in Canada to be powered by this new AC technology. Dr. Colin Campbell, a physics teacher in the Hamilton Public School Board, reflects on the impact Tesla's innovations had on the city. As a proud Hamiltonian, I was not aware how much the prosperity and growth of our city owes to Nikola Tesla. Hamilton's early reputation as the electric city was due to the transfer of electric power from a location near St. Catharines to Hamilton, using Tesla's concept of AC power transmission. This plentiful supply of low-cost electricity persuaded Westinghouse to set up his factory in the city. The steel industries of Stelco and Dofasco were based on the AC induction furnace, which attracted immigrants from all over Europe to make Hamilton their home. With its radial electric railway based on Tesla's induction motor, at the time, Hamilton enjoyed the most advanced transportation city of any in Canada." End quote. To this very day, the Sioux Falls Power Generating Station continues to remain in operation nearly 125 years later and is the oldest continuously operating power station in the world. It would be another 13 years before AC electric power would be widely used in Toronto, thanks in large part to the efforts of William Hubbard, the city's first elected black city councillor. And within 25 years of Nikola Tesla's announcement of his invention of the polyphase AC system, every major municipality and township in southern Ontario would receive electrical power. Through Tesla's AC system, which could transmit power over thousands of kilometres, countless Ontario households, farms and businesses entered a new age of prosperity through scientific ingenuity. But in this short time, I have only touched the surface of Nikola Tesla's innovation. As I said earlier, he held 300 worldwide patents, but I only covered a scant few. Each innovation and patent are worthy of a story itself. They include, but are not limited to, remote control, neon lamps, radio broadcast technology, and the magnifying transmitter through the use of his Tesla coils, which was a precursor to the wireless electricity technology of the present, imagined a remarkable 100 years earlier, and unfortunately the project that ultimately led to his financial downfall. Beyond his inventions, there is still so much to discover about Nikola Tesla. From his dreams to provide free and clean wireless power to everyone, to his opposition on the reliance of coal and fossil fuel power in his time. From the indescribable loss of scientific knowledge when his renowned lab burned down in 1895, and from his hardships as a new immigrant in North America, and the circumstances that led to the seclusion and poverty he experienced in his later life. One of humanity's greatest minds, a man who changed the world and died alone in a hotel in New York at age 81 in 1943. So much of the convenience, comfort, and prosperity of our times came from the mind and work of Nikola Tesla. There's so much more to learn both about him and from him. But I leave that for you to discover and celebrate every July 10th, if you are willing to join me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further debate? I recognize the member for Oakville.
Thank you, Speaker. It's an honour to rise today in the Legislature to discuss Bill 293, the Nikola Tesla Day Act, introduced by my colleague opposite. This bill seeks to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in honour of Nikola Tesla, who was an important inventor and engineer. Nikola Tesla was determined to change the world. His work led to the many important inventions that we use every day today, such as the alternating current, which the member mentioned, electric motor, the radio, remote control, among other inventions. Inventors change the lives of others because of their creations. One of his most significant inventions was the alternating current. Nikola Tesla's memory remains at the forefront today, of course, with Tesla Inc., formerly Tesla Motors, which is named after Nikola Tesla. In their vehicles, his invention of the alternating current electric motor is used. In fact, in my riding of Oakville, we're proud to have a Tesla dealership. The electric motor is an important invention that is revolutionizing the world today. And of course, being used in electric vehicles, it has a positive impact by reducing carbon emissions. Speaking of electric vehicles, I also want to take this opportunity to mention and highlight the Ford Motor Company of Canada's Oakville Assembly Complex, which is located in my riding. The Ford plant is a staple of my community, employing well over 3,000 people. Residents have a deep connection to the Ford plant, and they know its importance not only as a direct employer in my community, but also as a secondary employer for local businesses and the supply chain throughout Ontario. Having manufacturing in Ontario will be critical to the economic rebound that our province is set to have. We need jobs here, not overseas, and our government continues to support Ontarians and my Oakville community. In the fall of 2020, our government announced a $295 million investment to help retool the plant for the production of electric vehicles. It was an honour to host Premier Ford and the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade in my riding to make that exciting announcement. By retooling the Ford Assembly Complex, my community can rest assured that employment will continue for many, many years there and have a positive different effect on the environment. Electric motors are not only being used by the Tesla car manufacturer, but other companies seeing this for the future. This technology is a game changer, and to keep pace with this tradition, Tesla has been working to build superchargers throughout our province. Soon we will not only be seeing gas stations, but electric vehicle charging stations, which will become a prominent feature of our roadways. I know in the preamble of the bill, the member mentioned green technology. Changing technologies as a power source is also contributing to a greener Ontario. Our government has been advancing this through the efforts of emission-free nuclear technology. Oakville is the hub of nuclear energy development in Ontario. Important technologies such as the small modular reactors are being developed by many companies in my community. Our province, alongside Alberta, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, signed an agreement to explore nuclear technology using small modular reactors as a power source. It is this legacy of Nikola Tesla and his important work that make our province a better place. I will say that while this bill is symbolic, it offers a chance for important figures to be recognized for their amazing accomplishments. Our province has special days of recognition for various groups and individuals, and it is good for the member opposite to bring this bill forward on someone he believes should be recognized by the achievements they made. With that, Speaker, I offer my support to the member from Humber River Black Creek for this bill, and I'll conclude my time with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speech, member for Niagara Falls.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to be able to rise today to discuss this important recognizing of a remarkable man of Serbian heritage. Nikola Tesla changed history and the world as we know it with his technology that he produced. It's impossible for any of us to even go a day without seeing with our eyes the contribution that Tesla has made to our world. This is especially true down in Niagara Falls. As many of you are aware, we produce a great deal of electricity in Niagara Falls. There's a reason we call hydro so often around there, because our electricity is largely hydroelectric. The power generation would not have been possible without the technology that Tesla invented. The Sir Beck Generation Station, operated by the amazing workers down at OPG, would not have been possible without Tesla. Quite frankly, I know this is something my late dear friend Peter Comos has said in this House before. Sir Adam Beck may have been a footnote in our history books if it wasn't for the invention of Tesla. Beyond the hydro produced with Tesla invention in Niagara Falls, something I'm very proud of, we are home to a vibrant Serbian population. Our Serbian community is so very proud of the legacy of Tesla, and rightfully so. Down near the base of the falls, and I know a lot of my colleagues have been to the falls, is very proud of the legacy of Mr. Tesla, and rightfully so. Down near the base of the falls, the Niagara Parkway, we have a wonderful statue and monument to signify the incredible contribution that Nikola Tesla has provided to our country and our world. Every time we experience electricity today in Ontario, we owe debt to Mr. Tesla. He is very important to how we as a province generate power. But also his legacy was very forward-thinking. His vision dreamed of the future of renewable energy, a vision we should honor. So today, I am proud of my colleague for Humber River Black Creek for putting together this legislation, and I'm happy to support it today. Making July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day will be an important, not only to celebrate his contribution he provided to our world, but also celebrating science, something as a government we must continue to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further debate, the member for Mississauga East Cooksville.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I rise today to speak in support of Bill 293, the Nikola Tesla Day Act, brought forward by the member from Humber River Black Creek. Bill 293, if passed, would mark July 10th of every year as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario. I want to thank the member from Humber River Black Creek for bringing this bill to the floor so that everyone in this legislature can be reminded of the spirit of creativity and that can motivate people to do great things for their society. For those who may not know, Nikola Tesla was a Serbian-American contemporary of Thomas Edison. He was so prolific in his work. In 1888, Tesla pioneered the polyphase alternating current we commonly refer to as AC, and the long-distance transmission system for that AC to be delivered to homes, factories, offices, and hospitals. Speaker, Nikola Tesla's inventions changed the way the world worked, and we make use of his technology every day. But what does a Serbian-American inventor from over a century have to do with Ontario? Speaker, Nikola Tesla's inventions was adopted into a hydroelectric electric power plant at Niagara Falls, bringing electric power to homes and businesses across southern Ontario. Nikola Tesla was born on July 10th, so it makes sense to celebrate him and his accomplishments on his birthday. In 2006, the Serbian community in Ontario celebrated Nikola Tesla's 150th birthday with the unveiling of the Tesla Monument in Niagara Parks Commission's Queen Victoria Park at Niagara Falls, Ontario. And more recently, in 2019, the plaza surrounding the statue was proclaimed as Tesla Plaza. Speaker, I remember my kids and I have spent many summer afternoons visiting the falls, and more than once we have passed the monument, which features Nikola Tesla standing on top of an AC motor overlooking the falls. And I remember my older kids love to learn about the inventor who brought light to the world by creating and working hard to achieve his dreams of making a difference in the world. Even though Nikola Tesla himself was not from Ontario, he represents the pioneering spirit all Ontarians share in working hard to make the world a better place for their communities. Speaker, I believe that honoring such a man with a day of recognition is the right thing to do for Ontario, and especially for all of Ontario's children who will definitely be inspired by his story. Speaker, we all know of this hugely successful Tesla Motor Company, which was inspired by Nikola Tesla. Their success is also Ontario's success. In 2019, Tesla has operated research and development, also known as R&D, and manufacturing facilities in Ontario, which employ over 340 Ontarians today. These operations largely focus on the design and construction of high-speed, continuous motion battery assembly line machines in support of battery cost reduction. Nikola Tesla was just one man with a lot of great ideas and the drive and motivation to invest his time and hard work into making them a reality. His ambition changed the way the world worked, and I believe that it is a great idea to honor him with a day of recognition. I want to once again thank my friend from Humber River, Black Creek, for bringing Bill 293, and I look forward to learning more about Nikola Tesla and celebrating him with my kids on July 10th. I hope my colleagues in the House will join me in supporting Bill 293. Thank you.
The member for Hamilton Mountain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to be able to support Bill 293 from my colleague from Humber River, Black Creek, to establish Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario. As we know, Tesla is one of the scientists to whom we owe much of our modern world. Without his advances in electricity, creating alternating current production and transmission systems, our progress as a species would have been stunted. We use AC electricity in all of our homes, and it powers all of our businesses. Hamilton was the first city in Ontario to receive electric power. Tesla himself consulted on the project to bring electricity to Hamilton. The cheap electrical power was the cause of Hamilton's manufacturing boom. It is why industries started or relocated in Hamilton. Big industrial players and large employers were attracted to Hamilton because of the cheap power. Businesses like Westinghouse, International Harvester, Otis Elevator, Canadian Canners Consolidated, Procter & Gamble, Stelco and DeFasco all sprung up in Hamilton. Hamilton's electricity was supplied by Sioux Falls Generation Station No. 1 in Niagara, which was built in 1898 and is still running. That station was built by Hamiltonians. They ran that electricity 50 kilometers to Hamilton, which then branded itself as the Electric City, a place to afford affordable power. The importance of this electrical power coming when it did could not be overstated. Our manufacturing sector grew because of this important infrastructure. Recognizing the importance of Tesla's contributions, in 2015, our City Council voted to rename part of Burlington Street to Nikola Tesla Boulevard in his honor. It was in large part due to a group of committed residents who organized and started to lobby council and built the case. They also fundraised, and they raised nearly $200,000 to help pay for all of the new road signage and to provide awards and scholarships. I'm proud to support my colleague's bill because it's impossible to even go a day without seeing Tesla's contributions. This would be an opportunity for education. Schools across Ontario could recognize Nikola Tesla Day and use it as an opportunity for science education. This day could be a recognition of many great contributions of Canadians of Serbian descent, as Tesla was Serbian. Serbian Canadians improved our province, continue to improve our province and our economy and our culture here in Ontario. I'm very pleased to hear that the government will be supporting this bill so that we can establish July 10th each year as Nikola Tesla Day. Congratulations to the member. It's a good bill, and it will give us an opportunity to celebrate someone who's made huge contributions worldwide. Thank you so much.
Member for Waterloo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. It's a pleasure to join the debate on the member from Humber River Black Creek PMB. I do want to say about this particular member is that he's been consistent about bringing the priorities and the values of the people in his riding, and that's reflected, of course, in today's motion in honouring the heritage and the history of that riding. Also, he's very adept at rebuilding trust and genuine relationships that are reflected in the values that he brings to this place. I do want to say that Tesla, I didn't know a lot about this particular individual, and so I was really quite pleased to do the research on this, but he was a true visionary and futurist. Tesla raised concerns with the use of fossil fuels, for instance, and he also dreamed of free and renewable energy. We have heard that he poured a lot of his money and his efforts into furthering scientific research, ultimately dying alone and penniless. We use his inventions daily, but often fail to recognize his immense contribution to modern society. I think when we are talking about the work of scientists, our world reflects the realized dreams of countless scientists, engineers, and people of medicine. And as our daily lives have been greatly improved through their visionary work, it is important that we acknowledge their lives and their sacrifices. Observing Nikola Tesla Day on July 10th will serve as an inspiration to future generations. In fact, I may add, it already is. Chandra Rezik Sekar and Gonzala Espinoza Graham, two graduates of the Bachelor of Science program at the University of Waterloo, founded a company called Wattfly, a company that is developing flying cars after they won $50,000 from the Velocity Fund pitch competition in 2019. This is the type of innovation in Waterloo that not only has the potential to transform the way that we live and how we travel, but it would make Nikola Tesla proud. The entrepreneurial spirit of the University of Waterloo graduates, Abby and Gonzalo, embodies the visionary mind of Nikola Tesla that this bill aims to celebrate. And so I thought it would be, very powerful to bring a current story to the floor of the legislature that was inspired by Nikola Tesla. The future is bright because of the innovation and the research that Nikola Tesla shared with the province of Ontario and indeed the world, and in turn is that return on investment on research, in research, has proven to make society better, make society more fair, and obviously will change the way we work, live, and in this instance, commute. Thank you very much.
Further debate, the member for Carleton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to rise and speak to the member's motion here. I wasn't planning on speaking, but when I told my sister that we're debating Nikola Tesla Day in the legislature, she was incredibly excited because as an engineer, this is something that's really important to her. And she basically, I'm just going to read some of the WhatsApp messages that she sent me. She said that Nikola Tesla is a rock star. He needs to be recognized and honored. And she also said that this is an incredible initiative because it's very inspiring to young engineers, especially women engineers and women who are in STEM in general. So such a pleasure to support this motion. I'm happy to say some words on behalf of my sister, and I do agree with her and with the member that Nikola Tesla is a rock star. Thank you.
The member for Humber River Black Creek has 2 minutes to reply.
Thanks again, Speaker. I want to thank all the members that spoke today for their insightful comments. Nikola Tesla has always had a niche group of admirers, scientists, engineers, and many others, but his recognition has mostly been eluded by the general public. I want to thank all of those who, over the years, have taken the time to educate the public and to raise awareness of the many great innovations and significant contributions that Nikola Tesla made to our modern world. They worked to promote a great scientist as a role model for us all. And I want to thank Vic Georgievich, Dr. Colin Campbell, Dr. Maida Georgievich, Zoran Cvijetic, and Tatiana Pavlovich, who helped research, draft, and spread word of this bill. Nikola Tesla was a Serb, and I want to congratulate and thank the Serbian community in Ontario who are proud that this bill is being debated here today. I also want to return and thank Vic Georgievich for his important work in establishing the Nikola Tesla Educational Corporation, known as NTEC. His organization has worked very hard in telling the story of Nikola Tesla and the advent of AC power here in Ontario through countless presentations to students, scholarships, raising funds to rename a stretch of Burlington Street to Nikola Tesla Boulevard, galas, festivals, and more. And so for my last words here today, I'm going to turn it over to Vic, who said, and I quote, "I have presented the life and works of Nikola Tesla and his impact on Hamilton and many other places and many schools over the many years. At every presentation, the students and teachers were left in awe in discovering an unknown yet important history. They were inspired and wanted to learn more. Your support in proclaiming Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario will encourage educators across our province to humanize the concepts of the generation and transmission of electricity to our students by telling the story of Nikola Tesla and the advent of AC power here in Ontario, perhaps even through Ontario's science curriculum. Those inspired, especially our young students, will have a light switch of curiosity turn on for them, and in so doing, some might pursue a future in technology and in innovation. To quote the words of a bright and inspired award-winning student from Burlington who was only grade 8 at the time. His name was Michael Wolf, and he said, "There are Teslas all around us. We just need to wake them up." Thank you.
Mr. Rakosavic has moved second reading of Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario. Is it the pleasure of the House that the motion carry? Carried. Pursuant to Standing Order 101H, the bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole House.
I would like to refer it to the Committee of Regulations and Private Bills.
Majority in favour of this bill being referred to the Standing Committee on Regulations and Private Bills. Agreed? Agreed. The bill is therefore referred to the Standing Committee on Regulations and Private Bills.
Speaker, I am seeking unanimous consent to move a motion without notice respecting Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario.
Leader seeking the unanimous consent of the House to move a motion without notice with respect to Bill 293. Agreed? Agreed. Government House Leader.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that the order of the House referring Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario to the Standing Committee on Regulations and Private Bills be discharged and that the bill be ordered for third reading.
Government House Leader has moved that the order of the House referring Bill 293, an act to proclaim July 10th as Nikola Tesla Day in Ontario to the Standing Committee on Regulations and Private Bills be discharged and the bill be ordered for third reading. Is it the pleasure of the House that the motion carry? Carried.